the station where our veterans' voices are heard, MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Quack.
Program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Welcome to Hot Takes with me, hosted by the Murph Man, where life gets real and the mic stays hot. That's right, your favorite is experienced, and yeah, that's smart and funny guy. From classroom chalk to comedy clubs, Murph Man breaks it down with brainy thuds. Parenting stress or college mess, he's been through it all, no need to guess. Insights are sharp and data's tight, rants are ready and the jokes are light. Turn it up, this show is hot. Honest, funny, maybe loud. Never scared to stand out proud. When life gets real, the mic stays warm. Hosted by the dad with lots of charm. Insights are sharp and data's tight. The lens already and the joke's online. Talk, keeping it true. From high school halls to podcast queues, live a little, learn a lot. Turn it up, this show is hot. Grab your coffee and let's get into it. No filter, no fluff, just real talk. Let's do it. Ready or not, here we go. It's time for Murph Man to start the show.
In a world drowning in data and dread, two men rise, not as saviors or scholars, but as the Murph Man and Connor. Witness their journey as they navigate the treacherous waters of, well, whatever they feel like talking about. Prepare for Hot Takes with the Murph Man, where opinions are strong, facts are optional, and personal experiences are the name of the game. They're not experts, but they play them on this show. Their passion isn't a performance, it's who they are. And sometimes that authenticity means a little adult language might slip out. They apologize for that ahead of time, promising to keep it minimal, but their reactions are always genuine. Now grab your coffee, sit back, and enjoy the show. Here are the Murph Man and Connor.
Hey, welcome to Hot Takes with the Murph Man. I am the Murph Man. I'm here with my son, co-host, producer, Connor. How are we doing today, Connor?
Good. How are we doing today?
I'm doing good. It's been a pretty interesting week for me. Yesterday I was at the Art Space Galleries exhibition and I got to host it. And today I get to do the Kaleidoscope Art Market. I'm going to be hosting the whole event. So it's a pretty eventful week for me.
That's good. You ready for it?
I think so. I hope so. What about you? Anything going on with you?
Nope. Nothing's going on with me this
Nothing
week.
going on with you.
Nope.
You no test, no nothing?
Nope.
Really?
This week's been a chill week.
Okay. You've been going out and doing a lot, right?
Well, just with friends. Yeah, that's it.
You had one event happen to you this week.
What was that? Like, really? Really? You want to get into it? I got pulled over for speeding.
A little bit over the speed limit. He got a warning. He was good, but it was pretty funny. Oh man. So today, episode 14, what are you going to miss most about after high school? So that's what we're going to be talking about today, Connor. You ready for that? You think we should start next?
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
Welcome to Hot Takes with the Murph Man. Today you're watching episode number 14. What you'll miss most after high school. The post-graduation blues are real. This episode, about a bittersweet milestone, graduation. It's exciting, but it can also feel like a loss. This episode normalizes the emotional side of leaving high school and offers tools for reflection, closure, and moving forward. It's okay to miss the launchpad. Now let's get back to the show. Here are the Murph Man and Connor.
That's right, you guys. Graduation is so much fun. You graduate high school, you got this whole world in front of you, and then you miss it all, right? That's one of the hardest things that people have to adjust to is life after high school.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because either you get a job or you go to college. That's pretty much the choices, right?
Or both.
Or both. Or you get married, you have a kid, or you join the military, or that's a job. But
Yeah.
it's one of those things you just never know what you're going to do. And it's interesting because when you graduate high school, the whole world is in front of you. There's nothing stopping you, right? And what ends up happening? Life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask you real quick, okay? What do you think was your biggest adjustment after high school? It's only been a couple months, but what do you think was your biggest adjustment?
Well, going to a new school with other people from like other cities and all that in Texas, and just a new schedule.
Schedule. That's another one.
Mm-hmm.
Meeting friends from all over the world. But how about we ask that question to the crowd? Let's see what the burning question is for today. Here's the burning question.
Here is the burning question for today. What is the term for the feelings of sadness, nostalgia, or anxiety that can happen after a major life event like finishing high school? Is it A. Rite of passage, B. Post-graduation blues, or is it C. Senioritis? Now let's get back to the Murph Man and find out what the answer is.
What do you think it is, Connor? Let's look at the questions again.
Okay.
The term for the feelings of sadness, nostalgia, or anxiety. You got the rite of passage, meaning it's a part of life. You just got to graduate and move on.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it the post-graduation blues? Or is it senioritis?
I think it's B.
Post-graduation blues? You think so?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're right. Post-graduation blues are completely normal, you guys. It's expected to you're expected to be sad. It's a stage of your life that's done, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your brain and heart need time to process the end of this. How long do you think you processed being graduated from high school before you realized I'm going to go to college?
Like a month or two.
A month or
Maybe
two.
a month.
Excuse me.
Okay.
A month or two. Okay.
Just a month, probably.
And then you said, "Oh crap! Here comes school."
Well, yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting about that is you had the summer off and you started doing things with me and you started going out and we had fun. You go to college. We did the whole college stuff, right? Prepared you for college, going to check out the campus and orientation, all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
How was that for you going to orientation and registering?
I mean, it wasn't stressful. I mean, it was just like a little field trip, I guess. I don't
A little field trip. Okay. It wasn't that bad, right?
Mm-mm.
Okay. And you got to register, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then we had to deal with the financial aid.
Oh, yeah.
We had to look into your scholarships. We had to look into your registration, make sure you got your parking. The parking was one that we had to learn how to do, huh?
Yeah.
We just learned not to refresh. We were number 2,000 something, and then by the time you refresh, we were like, what, it was 8 or 9,000?
9,000.
Yeah. Luckily, we got into a parking spot for him, so he still has to walk, about 10, 15 minutes to class?
And into the campus.
Into the campus, okay. Yeah, so not too far, but not too close either. It's one of those things that graduating high school, excuse me. I'm eating this. Give me a sec.
Told you.
I wasn't joking. I mean, I wasn't coughing all morning, right? And I start talking, this happens. So you got out of high school, you had to get ready for college. When did you start missing high school?
When my friends would post, because I have friends that are seniors now,
Right.
so whenever they post like Spirit Week or anything at school, I'm just like, damn, I miss it.
So because your friends are there and they're still in high school, it's making you remember it more, right?
Yeah,
So how's that been? I mean, 'cause you're still hanging around with those guys once in a while. You're also hanging around with your college friends.
yeah. I mean, it's the same. I don't really feel anything different.
Have you gone to any like football games or anything?
No,
No. What about going to UTEP games? Tailgating. Have you done that?
no,
No, not really. Okay.
not as much. No.
But you have been going to the clubs
Well, yeah.
where all the students hang out. And how's that been going? I mean, because now you're of age to go to the clubs and you've been actually doing it.
I mean, it's nice. The DJs are, they play some good music sometimes. Sometimes they don't, and it kind of sucks. But it's a nice like atmosphere to be in.
And one thing you said that every time you go, there's always a fight.
Not always. I
Not always.
never said always, dude.
Well, you told me you've been twice and you told me about two fights. So that's why I said always.
I always go every Saturday.
Every Saturday? You're doing that every Saturday? Right on.
What do you think I go?
I don't know.
Well, yeah.
I've been asking.
Most Saturdays,
I
yeah.
ask you what you do. You don't have to answer to me.
Well, I say we go to a club and listen to music and then go to a friend's house.
And then you go to a friend's house. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, if I go to the club, I'm there until 2 in the morning when it closes, and then I go eat breakfast at IHOP or Denny's or Village Inn.
That's what I sometimes at 2, maybe like 1:30 we leave.
You
Then I
know,
drop everybody off.
back in my day, and anyone here from El Paso can tell you, Chico's Tacos is this really crappy restaurant that everyone loves
It was
when you're
not
drunk.
crappy.
When you're drunk, it's amazing. Okay. When you're hungover in the morning, it's great. It's not, not the best food, right? And it used to be cheap. Like you could go with $10 and gorge yourself on food. It's also like, 20 years ago, 25. It's been a while since I graduated.
Yeah.
But yeah, inflation has gone up, but they've also changed the way they do their cheeses and everything. And it's not the same as it used to be in the 80s. But going and hanging out at Chico's till 3 in the morning was something that that was a rite of passage for us, to go to Chico's Tacos. Now, you haven't really done that. You go to IHOP, Denny's, Village Inn, the places that are open late at night, right? Did you know there's only one Village Inn that's open 24 hours here in El Paso?
Mm-mm.
It's the one by UTEP. Everything else closes like at 2 or 3.
Damn.
One time, or like 11 one time, wasn't it? Like during the week we went and they closed like at 11, the Village Inn. Yeah, it's crazy. I like the fact they're open 24 hours. That's one of those things that I enjoy,
Well, yeah.
and well, yeah, so the whole rite of passage is part of it, but post-graduation blues, you don't think you really have had that, huh?
Mm-mm.
Have you had time to think about high school? Not really. Or you
No,
have? No,
not as
so,
much.
so you haven't missed it. Now that you're in college, do you wish you were in high school?
Yeah,
Well, if you could go back in time, what would you change?
nothing. I just relive the moments that I've
Ah,
had.
good. That I like that. Relive the moments.
Hmm.
It's one of those things that you look back on high school and you have memories, right?
Hmm.
I told you about my memories. I was an alcoholic at 16, and my last 2 years of high school are a blank. I have no memories.
Wow,
But you've seen my yearbook. How many friends did I have?
a lot.
I was always out there partying. School for me was hanging out with my friends, not education.
Yeah.
I didn't worry about that till later in life when I was getting out of the army and I wanted to get my degrees. And I went to school and, I got my master's degree. Let me see. Started in 93. No, hold on. I went to Somalia in 92, 93, and then 93, 97. Yeah. So I started in 94. And by 2001, I had my master's degree and my hours into my PhD.
Mm.
So yeah, it was later in life, but high school for me, I miss the parties. I miss the hangouts, the kickbacks. all of that, that for me, that's what I miss.
Mm.
And I also miss a few of my teachers, like, do you have any subjects you miss, your teachers?
I miss some teachers. I miss engineering. I miss computer science. I miss physics. I miss culinary, football. What else?
Well, we're going to talk about football specifically a little later,
I think that's it.
but no teachers in particular,
Just the classes.
the classes.
I can't think of the teachers' names like on top of my head.
Well, I can tell you some of mine. In ninth grade, I had Miss Trujillo, who was my algebra teacher. And I remember her because she was just so beautiful, but she was a really good teacher. She taught us really good. But I just remember her being so pretty, and I was always distracted by her beauty, you know. But in high school, the only people I can remember are my counselor, and I'll tell a story about that later, and my teacher for DECA, which is like a marketing program, and Sandra Obermiller. I still remember her name. She used to live on Boy Scout Lane. I know that because we went to Boy Scout camp with my brothers, and she was there. One thing, I went to her house. Nothing happened with Miss Obermiller, okay? But I can't think of any other high school teachers that really. Oh, Miss Waters, that's the other one, English teacher. And I'm going to talk about it when we get later, my stuff after high school, because I had a little situation happen to me. But I'll tell you what. Let's get to today's hot take and find out where we're going to be going today. What do you think, Connor?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. Here's today's hot take.
Today's hot take is, graduation is exciting, but it's also a form of loss. It is completely normal to feel sad about leaving high school, and we need to give ourselves permission to feel those feelings and find closure. Let's ask Connor how he has felt after leaving high school.
All right. I got a little ahead of the game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we already talked about that. I want to surprise you with that. I forgot.
Mm.
Yeah, it's just you're out of high school now. So, it's one of those things that you I don't know, I've seen a change in you already. You're doing homework, you're focusing on class, you're going out with your friends, you're doing everything that I wanted you to do when you were in high school. Not that you didn't do things, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you were able to, I see the student side of you, and I see the friend side of you. So that's pretty cool. I know you miss football.
Yeah.
You should get in shape and try it out for UTEP. They could use you.
Yeah, no.
No?
Never.
Why not?
No.
Don't say never.
Just
I
no.
tried out for the
No.
football team at UTEP.
No. I'm good.
Do you know that story?
No, I don't. What happened?
Okay, do you know my story about high school football? Okay. Growing up, my mom was a helicopter mom, always protecting me, never letting me do anything. Just I was such an insecure kid. It's not even funny. And I tried out for the football team, and I sucked. Like, I had never played football ever, and I just said I'm gonna go try it for football because my friends are there. And there's one day I saw some storm clouds. I'm like, hey, coach, it's gonna rain. We gotta go inside. You don't think it's funny?
That's a joke?
Oh, I'm like, it's gonna rain. We can't be outside, coach.
Oh.
You, you don't think it's funny? So anyway, the next day in class, the coach kicks me out. Right? He just didn't kick me out. He just says, "You know what? You're not made for football." I said, "All right." So I joined ROTC, and I kicked butt at that. And years later, now that I'm a counselor, I'm visiting schools, and everything, I come across this principal, Coach Tolentino. And I turn and I see this coach. I said, "Coach?" He looks at me, he goes, "I'm sorry, I don't recognize you, like, I don't remember you." I said, "No, you wouldn't remember me. I never played for you. You kicked me off the team." And he thought I was there, like, to beat him up or something. Like, I was I went to school to catch him. And I said, "No, no, it's not that." I said, "Yes, that was probably the best thing you could have done for me. I wasn't ready for it." But then after high school, I had this wild notion I could join UTEP football because I was in the Army at 17 years old. I was in the Army Reserve, and I wanted to go to. Um, I was in shape because I was going to go to basic training and everything, right? So I said I'm going to join the football team. So I went up to Coach Nord, and he sees me. We walk in, and I tell him, I said, I want to try out for the football team. And I'm not in shape. I'm not this muscular guy. Now that I know, I was nowhere. I don't even know why the hell I thought that. But I remember he went and he hit me in the chest to see how much muscle I had. He's like, "Yeah, no." So I never played football, and I never let you play until we've had this story. We've said it before, but I know you miss football. That's why I asked you, would you ever try out for the UTEP football team? When I was in ROTC, we actually played the Air Force ROTC for football there, and that was a lot of fun. We actually got to play in the Sun Bowl, so it was really really cool. It's flag football, but yeah. So I was never an athlete or anything. Although I can tell you this, when I was in the Army, the fastest I could run was a 7-minute mile. That's pretty good. You know what I mean? You don't think so?
I don't know how much or how fast I could run a mile.
If you had to run from the car to class, how long do you think it would take you running?
Run? Shit, I've never tried, but going downhill, 5 minutes?
You could run a 5-minute mile, you'd be in a track
A
star, you'd be in the
mile?
Olympics.
You said
Yes.
from the car to the class.
Yeah, it's a mile.
That's not a mile.
It is.
That's
You walk about a 15-minute mile.
that's not a
That's
mile. There's no way that's a mile.
I'll
From
tell you
Don
what.
Haskins to the Whataburger on University.
No, into campus, to class, I said.
Okay, well then that's another like 2-minute walk, maybe less.
Yeah, it's about 15 minutes. That's what I'm saying. You walk about a 15-minute mile. That's an average thing that people do.
There's no way.
Do you have a tracker on your phone?
Yes, I have a tracker. Hold on.
All right, so let's see here how fast or how good you are, how quick you try to walk in the morning.
You could keep talking, but
I
hold
am.
on. I'm gonna just
So yeah, you walk about a mile. So that's what I'm saying. But running a 7-minute mile, do you think you could run from 7 minutes from the parking to the class? That's how in shape I used to be. Now I'm just round. That's the only shape I am. You know. So anyway, football, you miss it. Excuse me. Football, you miss it. I know that, and that's one of your regrets. And I know that's not going to change anything. But one of the things that a lot of students have to deal with. I want you to think about this. There's people that have played football since they were little kids, right? The pee-wee ball, and then they go to the U ball, and then they go to the high school. I mean, middle school, then high school, right? All that stuff.
yeah.
Then graduation comes, and they never play football again. That is one of the hardest adjustments any athlete has to make. Is they graduate, and their sports, for the most part, is done, unless they go try rec leagues or something, right? So it's unfortunate that happens. But we've talked about the numbers of how many people can actually make it into college sports, how many people can actually make it to the professional sports levels and stuff, and it's not what it used to be. You know, it's there's just not enough spaces to go do stuff. Now I will tell you this. Do you remember the oldest player playing football?
The 50 something?
Yeah, 59-year-old. Yeah. Uh there's a college right now that has a father and son playing on the college team, and their linebacker is 59 years old.
Damn.
And it's one of those junior colleges, so it's like a really small college, right? And they need players, so anyone can try out and they'll make the team. You know, so that's pretty cool, though. I think. Have you been able to find anything yet? Not yet.
This is weird on how I do the measuring.
How are you doing the measuring?
Or like how to do it. Sorry.
Just go Don Haskins to the building and do a walk map. That's all you got to do.
Well, in 12 minutes.
Okay, but how far is it?
0.5 miles.
Yeah. Half mile? So you're saying what it would take you 12 minutes to walk, it would actually be 24 minutes to walk a mile?
I guess.
And I was running that in 7.
I guess, yeah.
Pretty good, right? Yeah, I know. I used to be pretty good, but I think we need to start getting into our terminology for today. What do you think, Connor?
Yeah.
Let's take a break and then we'll come back and we'll lay the coals. What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds like a deal.
So right now, we're gonna play a video that I made for veteran suicide awareness. You guys pay attention to it, please. Here we go.
It's time for a break. Hot Takes with the Murph Man will return after these messages.
According to the VA's suicide data report, an average of 22 veterans die by suicide every single day. This figure is a sobering reality and a crisis that demands our immediate attention and compassion. We must recognize and address the fact that every 24 hours, 22 veterans are losing their lives to suicide. The war doesn't always end when our veterans come home. The invisible wounds they carry, wounds that are real and heavy, require continuous support. No veteran should have to carry this burden alone. Many veterans experience stress and disconnection as they navigate life after service. But there is hope, there is help, and you are not alone in this fight. There's a vibrant community ready to support you, offering friendship, understanding, and shared experiences. You served your country, now let us serve you. Don't fight the toughest battle in silence. Your mission now is to reach out. Dial 988, then press 1. Text them at 838255. The Veterans Crisis Line is available 24/7. Every day, we save lives. Your life is invaluable, and your service is honored. Let's work together to make 22-0 again. No veteran should face their struggles alone. Together, we can ensure every veteran finds the support and hope they deserve.
He gets help, but he still feels off. Sees an ad on the TV about a dog batting said, this is a man's best friend. Whoa, so he goes one day and he picks it up. Never thought a dog could bring so much love and put a smile on his face. But he's finally found a saving grace. He needs help, but he don't know the path to take or the way to go to be free. Put his mind at ease. We will help, 'cause we can't stand to see a soldier go to God by their own hands. We will do everything we can to make 22-0 again.
Before we jump back in, a quick reminder of where to find us. For all the short clips and highlights, make sure you're following us on social media. You can find all the show details on our website, purehottakes.com. And for full show replays and exclusive premium content you won't hear anywhere else, be sure to subscribe at stream915.com.
All right, you guys, if you're a veteran or anybody, okay, you can actually call 988 if you're suicidal or you want someone to talk to. 24/7, 365, you guys. They are there to help. Make sure you reach out. We do not want to lose anyone to something that can be prevented. When I was a counselor, I would tell people that were suicidal, you have to ask. That's one of the things you have to ask. If you think someone's suicidal, ask them, because most of the time they want to talk. And I would ask this question that was very telling. Now I want you to think about this. Do you want to die, or do you want something to change? And most people would say, I want something to change, right? If someone says, no, I want to die, then that's a serious, serious threat. But someone could say they want to die and not mean they want to die. It's just a figure of speech. But ask them if they mean that. Say, like my friends know, don't joke about that around me, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had a friend that had something like that. And I said, take it seriously, remember?
Yeah.
He's like, no, he's not going to do anything. Don't assume. call him, talk to him, right? Get him the help. And you did. He ended up getting counseling, I believe, right? Or she? Was it she?
She.
So ask, you guys, get the help. If you need the help yourself, go to 988, dial 988, and you can call them and press 1 if you're a veteran, and someone will be there to talk to you. But I'll tell you what, let's get into some of the terms we're going to be covering today and laying down the coals.
Yeah.
Yep.
Before we dig in, let's clarify some of the key terms we'll be using today while laying down the coals. Post-graduation blues, those feelings of sadness or anxiety after graduating. Closure, the process of emotionally wrapping up a chapter of your life in a healthy way. And finally, FAFSA. This stands for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. This is the form you fill out to determine your eligibility for financial aid, like grants, scholarships, and loans.
That was not supposed to be there.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
So laying down the
Why I
coals.
don't like using AI.
We're going to talk about that later. Post-graduation blues, the feelings of sadness or anxiety after graduating. Closure, the process of emotionally wrapping up a chapter of your life in a healthy way. And the rite of passage, a meaningful transition that marks a new stage of life. And graduation is a big one. So, one thing I do want to say, if you're interested in calling in, you're welcome to call in, you guys. Our phone number is 915-201-0887. You can call in and be part of the show, and we can talk about this if you want to talk about your high school stuff and what you miss most. We'd be happy to have you call in. But that rite of passage, let's start with the last one first, is everyone has to do it, everyone has to graduate, and they have to move on. You have to be an adult at some point, right? My favorite question I ask people is, what do you want to be when you grow up? Because even adults don't know what they want to be when they grow up, right? So, it's part of life, but it's not easy. And closure means it's the transition from one stage of your life to another.
Mm-hmm.
That one stage of life to another is so important because you have to leave that behind you. Okay. One of the things we talk about right now is veteran suicide. But when you're in the Army or military, you live it 24/7. You think about that, okay? There was a time where I got sent to Somalia and I had a 2-day notice right before Christmas. I actually was, busy during Christmas. Same thing for Cuba. Went up to Cuba. I had about a week's notice there. I had a little more time. And when you live like that, your whole life revolves around the Army or the military, right? The way you dress, your uniforms have to be a certain way. You have to wear the same uniform day in, day out, over and over, right? So how can you not make it a part of you? You have to shave every day. You have to have your hair cut a certain way. You have to talk a certain way. You have to walk a certain way. You can't have your hands in your pockets. There's all these rules. Then one day you're out of the Army and it just poof. That's a big transition. Same thing with college and high school. High school, you're not expected to really be too responsible. You're expected to mess up and stuff. But when you get out, all of a sudden you're like, oh, now I have to go to work. Now I have to have a career. Now I have to do something. Like no one prepares you for that, huh? The transition, you guys, is the hardest thing for anyone. It's one of those things when you think about all the things that go on, what happens? What happens when you grow up? What are you going to be doing that is so different? And that's one of the hardest things that you have to do because you don't realize it. You do not realize how much your life is going to change until it changes. And those feelings of sadness and anxiety is what we call the post-graduation blues. It's a transition, you guys, and it's something everyone has to do whether they want to or not.
Mm-hmm.
And on a scale of 1 to 10, how good do you think you handled the transition?
An 8.
An 8? Okay.
It wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad. But you already had your plans for what you were going to be doing.
But that's why it wasn't bad.
Right.
So,
And we've talked about this by planning ahead and everything. It made
yeah.
this transition easier. But it's still a change. It's still different. Like, have you ever driven by the school and been like, I miss it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not miss it. Driven by it.
Well, when I've gone like to your parent conferences, I miss it because I went to the same school as he did.
Oh yeah.
And I walk around and it's just like, wow, man. Every time I go, I remember doing this here. I remember doing that there, right? My cousin Horacio, he used to be really big in basketball when he was in middle school. And when I was working at a school at Ross, he asked if he could like go. They're tearing it down, and he wanted to go play on the court. So after school, we went over and we shot some balls after court, after school on the court. And he says that was his highlight of his life. He just was like, wow, that is so cool. So yeah, you think about it. It's a transition that sometimes you don't grow out of it, and especially with sports. So anytime you have to leave a transition, you got to prepare for it as much as you can. You can't always be prepared for it, but you can plan ahead for it. That's probably the most important thing I want you guys to realize is you can plan ahead as much as possible. Now, let's talk about a story from the fire that actually applies this a little bit so we can give you a better example, okay? Here's our story from the fire.
After graduation, Taylor feels unexpectedly sad. She misses her daily routine, seeing her friends every day, her favorite teachers, even the chaos of the school cafeteria. To process it, she decides to write a letter to her future self about her high school experience. This small act of reflection helps her feel grounded and ready to move forward.
What do you think, Connor? What do you think about that? She wrote a letter to herself 10 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
What would you write to yourself if you could 10 years from now?
I don't know what to say to me. I don't.
Well, okay, think about 10 years from right now. What do you think would happen? Graduate in 4 years.
I don't know.
So you're gonna have a job, you're gonna have a family.
You would think so.
A family.
But you would think so.
I don't know, right?
That's why I don't know.
Do you know Jim Carrey?
Uh-huh. Who doesn't? Who? Come on.
The guy who drew my artwork, those spray paintings I have on the wall. His name is Jim Carrey. Not that one.
Well,
Jim Carrey, when he was starting off, he wrote himself a check for $10 million to be cashed in 10 years. And 10 years later, he got a $10 million check for doing Dumb and Dumber. And he manifested that himself. You don't think about, I don't know what I'm going to tell myself in the letter, but what you're writing down is a goal, is what you're really doing, if you think about it. Okay. Have you ever heard of the term multi-level marketing? Okay. They sign you up for something and then you sign people up and you make money on them. And they sign people up and you make money on them and everyone makes more money off someone else. It's not really about selling a product. There's a program called Amway and I used to be part of it. I tried it out. It's one of those things you get scammed into stuff and that's one of them. But it was funny because they have this thing called a diamond level. And they ask you to put pictures of diamonds all over your place to motivate you to get to that level. And that is a really interesting thing because if you put something out there that's a constant reminder of what you're going to do, you're going to be more focused on it because it's going to be a constant reminder, right?
Mm-hmm.
Having that goal is that letter you would write to yourself. If I were to ask myself, where do I want to be in 10 years? Number one, alive, right? Okay. Two, I want to have my house paid off. Not the house I'm living in now, the house we're going to move into and have that paid off, right? In 10 years. Most of the time it takes 15, but be debt free in 2 years. And 8 years is going to be all going to the house, right? And then I'll be 66 years old and I can rest. and retire or whatever, and keep doing this. Hopefully, right? Hopefully, I'll actually be a lot more famous. You know, that's what I hope. What about you? Nothing? You don't think of anything in 10 years?
No.
Do you realize that if you actually, if you wanted to become like a doctor, you would be in school in 10 years still?
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, because 4 years, 4 to 5 years for engineering, right? And 2 years for your master, that's 7, and 2 more years for your PhD, so it's 9 years. You know, that's crazy, right? Can you picture being in school another 10 years?
Mm-mm.
You just got out of 12 years in school. Now you're gonna do another 5 to 10. Sounds like you're doing a prison term, huh?
Mm-hmm.
You know. But yeah, it's one of those things. And when you think of that story, right? And think of Taylor writing her letter to herself. It's both of us are bad. I'll be back. So the thing is, the smart. We have a thing called SMART when you come up with goals. You want to have it stated. You want to make sure it's measurable, it's actionable, it's realistic, and there's a timetable to it. And you want to make sure any goal that you choose as you growing up that you reach it, and it's something that can be attained. Like I've told you, I want to be debt free. I want to be owning a house in 10 years, a house that I don't even own right now, but I'm gonna get a bigger house and move in and have everything that I want in the house to retire and die and leave him a nice house whenever I'm done. You know, that's my goal. And professionally, I'll retire from teaching. I'll be able to retire there because I've been teaching for 25 years now. In another 5 years, 6 years, I'll be able to retire there. And so I'll have the retirement from teaching, then I'll have the retirement from my VA, and I also will be eligible for Social Security. So I don't know if I'll be able to pull all three. I got to look into it, right? They say you only can pull one or two, but laws have changed. So I'm hoping I can get all three. That would be really cool. I'd get my disability, I'd get my retirement, and I'd have my um, Social Security, you know. I apologize. But make yourself a goal because you really want to be able to plan ahead and know where you're going. When you're high school, you don't really think of the future. Like Connor right now, we're asking him, 10 years from now, where are you going to be? He's like, I don't know. But that's what you have to really do is think like, what am I going to do? Connor knows for the next 4 years he's going to be in college. He knows that, right? He's going to start working. He's going to, I don't know. Uh, Maybe he'll start working at the college, working in financial aid or working with something at the college, a teacher assistant. Who knows, right? Maybe not even that. Uh, it's one of those things that we don't know because you're so young. You have so many possibilities. Mine is stay alive, retire, die. That's basically what's going to be mine. But it's how you live those 10 years or how you live those final years of your life. If you plan when you're younger, and hopefully nothing major happens like with me. All my savings went when my wife passed away. We had the medical bills that we had, co-pays, all of that for the couple of years that she was going through her treatments and stuff. That was a lot of money. It really was a lot of money, and it emptied our savings. And I had to start over. I had with my first wife, I had two houses, got divorced, had to sell them. So my plan there changed. I got remarried. My savings there went away. I started over again. That's where I am now. And like I said, in 2 years I'll be completely debt free. At the most, maybe even a year. At the end of this year, I could be it. I could be debt free. But I would want to buy a car. That's one thing. One of my goals for 10 years, right? Is buy that car. And go from there. So you just never know what you're going to be doing in 10 years, you know? And it's a really sobering thought when I ask, what are you going to do with your life, right? What are you going to do with your life? And it's not easy, but like Taylor, write yourself that letter. But I said, you have to have a plan. And what we call a plan here is called the heat map. So here comes the heat map to show you what steps you can take.
Here is the heat map to help navigate this stage of your life. Write a letter to your future self, or make a senior year scrapbook or digital photo album. Plan a small, intentional goodbye ritual with your close friends or family. Make some time to reflect on what high school taught you, beyond just the academics. Now the Murph Man will tell us more about this.
That's right, you guys. Write a letter, we already talked about that. That's what Taylor did. Plan a small, intentional goodbye ritual with your close friends. What would you think your ritual is that's already in the system?
Like a tradition, or what do you mean ritual?
Well, there's rituals as your senior year. Certain things you do as a senior, right? Like senior sunset, senior ditch day. What's another thing?
Senior sunset, sunrise, ditch day.
There's one last time you see everybody.
Graduation.
And that's a ritual, believe it or not,
every student.
For every student that they're graduating high school. You know, rituals are part of our tradition as humans. We have certain things we do, when someone dies, you go to the cemetery, you bury them, you have that. Or you're getting married, you go to the church. There's certain things that we all do that are stages of like rites of passage. But the intentional goodbye, and that's what a funeral is for. Did you know that? Now, I'm going to tell you 2 facts about funerals that are really cool. Have you ever heard of the term bell ringer? Well, in the old days, they weren't able to tell really well if someone was dead or like in a coma, and they would bury them. So they would tie a string with a bell to the ground above, and someone would be sitting next to the grave, and if they started moving, he'd have to dig them out and try to save their life. But have you ever heard of the wake? A wake is a ritual where you bring the person like at the home. We have the rosary and or the celebration of life, whatever they call it nowadays, right? But the wake was called a wake because they would bring the body to the house and they would throw a party. And the reason it's called a wake was because sometimes the people would wake up and they're celebrating their life. They're alive, It was also a way of saying goodbye. And grief is a real thing when you have any loss. You think of grief when you lose someone, right? But anytime you lose something, you grieve it. And there's one thing that just has nothing to do with nothing. But one time Connor was getting a haircut and I was talking to the barber and we got carried away talking, and she ended up just kept cutting his hair as we're talking, remember? And she went from your head of hair to like real short, and you're like, I was like shocked. I felt bad. But you grieved that hair loss, believe it or not. You missed it. You look in the mirror and you're like, oh man, I see you look in the mirror and grief is anytime you have a loss, right? Now, do you know the 5 stages of grief?
I don't know the order. I don't know all of them, but yeah.
All right. The way I use an ice cream, right? You have an ice cream cone and you lick it as a little kid. What happens?
You lick it?
But as a little kid, you don't have the force that you use. It usually ends up falling over. The ice cream cone falls off, right? The first thing you do is
deny.
That's not happening, right? You deny it, right? And then you get sad. No, I'm sorry. Anger. Yeah, you get anger first. Sorry. I'm sorry, you guys. This is something that was coming off the top of my head. I was just talking about right now. 5 stages of grief. Is that what you're looking up? Denial, anger, depression, bargaining, and acceptance.
Yeah.
Okay. So your ice cream falls. You're like, no, that did not just happen. And then you get angry because you just lost your ice cream.
And then bargaining.
Then you get bargaining.
Yeah.
Okay, then you bargain. You're like, I'll just get another ice cream, maybe, or maybe if I pick it up and wipe off that part of the ice cream, or right. And then you have depression because you're sad because you lost your ice cream, and then acceptance. And that's a process you go through anytime you have a loss. Anytime you have a loss, that is what you go through. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. Now, if you had a lot of loss in your life, you handle it differently every time.
Yeah.
When you, like, someone dies, it's everyone deals with it differently, right? When you lose a job or you move a city, or everyone does it differently. In the army, because I was always moving around doing things, home was where I was stationed. That was my home. And when I went to Somalia or I go to the field, I make that my home. I have the mindset, this is where I want to be living for the time being. There's nothing I can do about it. Why be upset about it? Just move on. And it's one of those things that you learn how to cope a lot easier, right? But one thing that we don't talk about here is stress. Can we talk about stress a little bit?
If you want.
If I want. I went to a doctor appointment this week, and they asked me a question: are you stressed right now? And we said,
I don't know. I don't know you.
Well, but you know me enough to know if I'm stressed or not.
You are stressed. You're always stressed.
I'm always stressed. Why am I always stressed?
I don't know.
Because I'm alive. See, we've talked about good stress and bad stress, eustress, distress. You're always stressed. Even when you have good stress, you're going to feel it in your body and everything, okay? You have physical stress, you tension in your body and everything. You have the emotional stress where you get depressed or angry or happy, even excited, all of that. And then you have behavioral stress: eat more, drink more, sleep more, or less, eat less, your libido goes up, goes down, it all changes. And when you're under so much stress, you end up just not even reacting anymore. So when you think about grief and loss, if you're always changing something, there's no chance for you to be sad. Does that make sense? Because you go and you accept it a lot faster because it's just a part of life. Now, one of my favorite books to read is Who Moved My Cheese? Do you remember that story?
I don't remember, but you've said it many times.
Many times. There's two little mice, two little men in a maze. They go to Cheese Station C, and written by Spencer Johnson. It's a book, Who Moved My Cheese? And they have a lot of cheese, and one day the cheese is gone. And the way they react to it is you have Sniff and Scurry, who are the two rats, or the mice, whatever, and then two humans are Hem and Haw. And Sniff is one of those that's very cautious when change happens. There's some people that just really are taking change very slowly. Then you have people like Scurry, who takes off right away. Change is like me, it happens, go on. You have Haw, you laugh at yourself when you look back on your stress, right? When you look back on your stress, it's one of those things that you say, have you one of the things you want to look at is the handwriting on the wall with Who Moved My Cheese? Because the handwriting on the wall is so interesting, because there's the thing is, the cheese ends and they have to go out into the maze, right? And it's amazing because you don't realize the changes you go through, you know, in life. And joining that maze is such an interesting thing. As you go out into the maze like you are right now, you graduate high school, right? Your cheese moved. That's what we call it. And then you go into the maze and you start looking for new cheese. That's what the whole purpose of the maze is.
Yeah.
And in the maze, and in the maze, They talk about the handwriting on the wall that Hog goes back and gives himself little tips like change happens, anticipate change, monitor the change, right? Adapt to it quickly. There's certain things that he writes on the wall to himself, but one of the things he writes on the wall that really, really impacted me was when he writes, "What would you do if you weren't afraid?" And I'll ask you that, Connor. It's scary to go out into the world, right? After high school.
Mm-hmm.
Did fear affect you in any way? Just not that you were scared, but like
No.
this is a big deal. Or like when you walk into your chemistry class and you see seats with 300 students, it's like, yeesh, right? There's a little bit of fear there. Like, what did I get into? You know, um, that's a real thing, you guys. That's one of those things where it happens and you're like, whoa, this is really happening to me. It's like realism hits.
Mm-hmm.
But what would you do if you weren't afraid? And let me tell you, when I was in the Army, well, I was a draftsman to begin with, and then I joined the Army and went active duty, and I became a behavioral science specialist, a counselor in psychology that leads me to who I am today. And I remember in high school, like I told you, I was a party animal. I blurred out my last 2 years of high school. And in the Army, I became a counselor, got out, went to my degree, got a counseling degree. And there was one person I always modeled myself after. That was Terry Grijalva. She was a counselor at Burgess. I remember her for 2 reasons. One, she always wore high heels. Right? I'm sorry. I'm a guy. What can I say? Right? You have crushes on your teachers and counselors, whatever. But this counselor tried helping me with all the issues I had with my family. And she would call me in and try to talk to me, and I didn't want to talk to her or anything. Years later, I was the president of the counseling association here in town, and I had a meeting with the counselors, and she was there. And I walked up to her, and I'm like, "Miss Grijalva?" She's like, "Yes," and she didn't remember me. It had been several years, and probably about 15 or 20. And she says, "I'm sorry, I'm not dressed." She was in a sweatsuit, right? And she says, "I hope." She says, "You remember me for? I guess I helped you." I said, "No, you didn't help me." And she looked at me like, "What?" I said, "No, no, no. Let me tell you. I live my life with what you taught me here." She says, "What was that?" I said, "I never wanted to help. And now when I'm counseling kids, I use you as an example and I say, it doesn't matter if I talk to you now, but I knew if I ever needed to, I could turn to her."
Yeah.
And that was the biggest thing that I could do as a counselor. Kids don't want to talk to you. The parents are forcing them to counseling and everything. You're like, "Hey, you know what? I know you don't want to be here, but I care about you enough to be here. If you don't want to talk to me, we don't have to. If you don't, we want to come back later, we can talk about it. You know, just know that someone's here." And we go back to the suicide awareness and all that we were talking about, right? Someone's there to help you. But some people don't feel that. They don't know that. And I remember how screwed up I was as a kid. And I told myself, I'm never going to be a counselor for kids, right? Never going to be a counselor for kids. And one day, I get a job as a social worker position in a group home with young girls transitioning to become adults that have families and they have babies, have teenagers and everything. And I got the job, and then they call me a couple days later, like, "You know what? We can't hire you. We lost the grant. We're going to close the program." And I'm like, "Okay." And she says, "Why don't you go next door and interview at the runaway shelter? They have a job opening right now." And I said, "I don't want to work with kids." And she was like, "Well, what about working with these kids?" I said, "No, social work is different than counseling." I said, "You're going to go over there and help them transition. It's education, that kind of stuff." And what's even more funny than that is that weekend I was going to school at Sul Ross, and they read this book to me, right? And I interviewed for the position at the runaway shelter. And when I went in, the lady says, "How do you want to work here?" I said, "I don't. I'm just a guy got fired next door." But then I went to school that weekend and they read Who Moved My Cheese to us. And the question, what would you do if you weren't afraid, hit me so hard that the next week I went and accepted the position as a counselor for working with kids. And I remember that because I even told my boss, she became my boss, obviously, I took the job. But I said, you know, I don't want to work with kids. And she said, why not? I said, I was a messed up kid. I said, that's what's going to make me a good counselor because I understand that situation. But kids can't change their life. They're stuck in the situation. There's nothing they can do. And she says, you'll be surprised how much kids can do. And I was very surprised at how much control kids have. And it was one of those things that as a counselor, I know I changed people's lives for the better. I know I did. I help parents, I help students, I help kids, you know, everybody. I know I help people. But I think back to that one statement. What would you do if you weren't afraid? That changed my whole life. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just one of those things that you don't realize how much your life can change based on one little act. If I were to ask you, give me something in your life that changed you, and I don't mean like, you know, anything sad or nothing. I'm just saying, did anything in your life impact you in any way, shape, or form?
Nothing I can think of the top of my head.
No? Okay. That's good that you haven't had to have that moment yet, you know, but you're gonna have a moment where you're gonna make a decision one way or the other. And it's a real decision. You know, you're gonna have to decide this or that. And it's not easy. You know, we were talking about the heat map and things that we're gonna be doing to how you're gonna get there. But the thing is there are gonna be some pitfalls and you are gonna get burned, you know, and it's not easy. But I will tell you this, you want to stick around for what we're going to talk about here. But right now, we're going to play a quick clip from the movie Nuremberg. It's a Sony classic coming out November 7th, which is yesterday or today?
What?
November 7th is yesterday.
Oh, yeah, yesterday.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Came out this weekend, Nuremberg, from Sony Classic Pictures. Check out the trailer.
It's time for a break. Hot Takes with the Murph Man will return after these messages.
Justice Jackson, they captured Hermann Goring alive.
Tell me about him.
He's the face of the Nazis. I'm gonna put Goring on trial.
Edward escapes the hangman's noose. Very sure of yourself.
No man has ever beaten me.
Goring has to fall.
You don't just have to win, you have to be flawless.
You're walking into a trap.
Knowing what we know now, would you still follow Adolf Hitler?
Nuremberg, rated PG-13, this November. The station where our veterans' voices are heard, MBR Talk.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
At Military Broadcast Radio, the goal is to offer a platform for mental health advocacy while connecting the military community through various media platforms. Founded by U.S. Army veteran Joel Hunt, MBR gives a voice to veterans, first responders, and their families through streaming radio, podcasts, video, and outreach events. With its leadership run completely by veterans and hosts of the diverse programming from all branches of service, MBR was created as a response to the silent battles veterans face after service. Military Broadcast.
It's time for a break. Hot Takes with the Murph Man will return after these messages. It's time for a break. Hot Takes with the Murph Man will return after these messages.
There's a hotel window, many floors above. What's missing down there is love. thinking through the smoke that fills my mind. Don't worry, it's not my first time. Adios, amigo. So glad I seen you. I won't be seeing you around. Adios, amigo. I've been looking for you since I stepped foot in this town. They say it's all inside, heaven and hell. What happened to that angel when he fell? Give it just one try. Tell me you don't like it. Be God for a moment and don't despise it. Adios, amigo. So glad I seen you. I won't be seeing you around. Adios, amigo. I've been looking for you since I stepped foot in this town. Step outside and breathe. Play a little in the street. Hope it's not me they're sending. Move one from over there. Get the kids a little scared. Oh, these fences, they need mending. Adios, amigo. So glad I seen you. I won't be seeing you around. Adios, amigo. I've been looking for you since I stepped foot in this town. Adios, amigo. So glad I seen you. I won't be seeing you around. Adios, amigo. I've been looking for you since I stepped foot in this town.
Before we jump back in, a quick reminder of where to find us. For all the short clips and highlights, make sure you're following us on social media. You can find all the show details on our website, purehottakes.com. And for full show replays and exclusive premium content you won't hear anywhere else, be sure to subscribe at stream915.com.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
And we are back. What do you think of the Nuremberg trailer, Connor? It looks like a good movie, huh? Do you know what Nuremberg is, by the way? The Nuremberg trials, they were the Nazis were on trial after all the atrocities they did in World War II, killed all the Jews. Yeah. Well, that's the trial of them. That's what Nuremberg's about. So It has Russell Crowe in this. It looks pretty good. Maybe we'll go see it tomorrow. I was thinking about that.
Where
at the theaters? The movie's out. And yeah, so anyway, we were talking about the heat map and all things, and here's some pitfalls that you can get when you can get burned, okay?
Here are a few pitfalls to avoid getting burned. Don't just pretend everything is fine. Don't just pretend everything is fine if it's not. It's okay to acknowledge your feelings. Don't just rush headlong into the next thing without a pause. Take time to reflect. And try not to compare your journey or your feelings to what you see others posting online. Focus on your own journey.
That's right. You guys, first off, don't pretend, don't be in denial. That's the first step of acceptance, right?
Yeah.
Of grief is don't pretend everything's fine. It's not. It's okay to acknowledge your feelings. It's okay to say I'm sad. It's okay to say I miss my friends. It's okay to say I'm scared. Whatever you're feeling is okay. That's one of the things about grief. They tell you you need to be grieving for a certain amount of time, right? Do you know actually we've talked about this before. I don't remember. Why do we grieve for a whole year? Do you remember that?
To get the lifestyle without them.
Right. And experience an entire calendar year
without
the person in your life.
Yeah.
And that could be death, could be breaking up with someone, a divorce. Like, for example, my anniversaries. I have anniversaries with my first wife. We got married by the court in May, by the church in October, and then I married your mom in December. So it's been 21 years since 23 years since I got divorced. 10 years since your mom's been gone. And those 3 dates still come to mind.
Wow.
And I'm not sad about my ex-wife, but yeah, my anniversary. That's why I hate from Thanksgiving to Christmas. I hate, because that was the last time I spoke to your mom and everything that went through, and I lost my dad Christmas Eve, that kind of stuff. So it's like I hate this time of year personally. And one thing I did tell you, like Connor, one of the things you have to do is grow up and leave the house. That's part of life, right? What did I tell you about for Thanksgiving? You have a choice to make. Are you going to be with family or are you going to be with your friends? Don't try to do both, right? And I said, if you want to go with your friends, I'll go with mine. Not a big deal. If you want to hang out with me, we'll go do something. And maybe we can do an early lunch and you can go with your friends for dinner or whatever, But that's part of growing up, right? The holidays. One thing I do tell people, and I see if you remember this one. We haven't talked about it here, but I've told you when is the largest or the biggest day for partying all year long?
I don't know.
You would think St. Patrick's Day, New Year's, right? Nope. Super Bowl? Nope.
I don't know.
It is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Why?
Because pretty much the entire country is off on Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone goes parties on Wednesday night. So if you're out there driving on Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, be extra careful, because I'm telling you guys, that's something you just, people drunks are out there. The other thing is we talked about sniff and scurry when we talked about who moved my cheese. You don't want to rush headlong into the next thing without a pause. You want to take time to reflect. And like I asked you, between college and high school, or high school and college, did you take time to grieve your high school and accept that you're going to college? You know what I mean?
No.
It just happened one day to the next, pretty much, right? And don't try to compare your feelings or your journey to someone else. When you do that, you're on your own journey. And I sit here and I look at a lot of people who graduated with me, right? There's some that are doctors. There's one guy who's a part owner of the Houston Texans. Like he's a millionaire.
Oh, wow.
There's people that are rich, and there's some that are losers. There's some that have died, overdosed, murdered, killed people. I mean, there's we all have that in every class, right? When I go back to my reunion, and I meet people, it's like I don't remember them, so I don't go to my reunion. But there's a few people that I've kept in touch with over the years, and but I ask myself, why am I not as successful as that person, right? And my answer is I started a lot lower than his family. He already had money, right? But how can I compare myself to that person? I can't. But even if I had the money, doesn't mean I'm going to do the same choices he made, right? So we we have to live our life and not what someone else wants us to live. And that's one of the things I've told you. I'm sorry I've done that to you. I put my ideas on you, and I after the 10th grade, I said you're going to be on your own, right? Because you had to start at some point, and hopefully you're able to make your decisions on what you want to do, And I don't know if you compare yourself to any of your friends, but don't, because everybody is different. Everybody, you know. Like for example, I like being in front of crowds, right? And like tonight, we're going to be doing the Kaleidoscope Art Market at the Coliseum, and I'm going to be hosting the event. I'm emceeing it, and the guy who was working with me, he's like, "Hey, you think you can do it?" And I said, "I won't know until I'm there," you know. And like last night, I was hosting the Art Space Gallery exhibitions, and he's like, "Yeah, this is make a few corrections here and there." First time I started, I was nervous. I was like, you know how I get when I get nervous, I start talking really fast. He goes, "You gotta slow down." I said, "I will." It's just the nerves getting started. Then I did a few more interviews with people, and it was real chill. And I told him the next event is different because I'm going to be interacting with people. That's my thing. I can do that all day long. And he goes, yeah, and he says, I've been doing this for years. I still get nervous, and I cannot compare myself to him because he has the experience and I don't. Right? So I'm learning, and I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh, I don't know what I'm doing," because I don't know what I'm doing. But hey, that's life, right? So as you look at this stuff, realize that you have your own journey to go. You have your own path, and you're getting to your own things at some point. Don't compare yourself to other people. All right? Listen to me. Do not compare yourself to other people because it's just different for everybody, guys. It really is. And you want to have your own path. You want to find your own way in the maze and find your way to Cheese Station Inn. That's what they called it. And, as a counselor, when I was counseling, there was a few people that I worked with, and I'm like, ooh, that person is someone I want to learn from. When I'm teaching, that's a person I want to model myself after, right? That's different. You're adding to who you are, but you're not that person. You're not trying to become that person. Someone does something good, and you're like, I wish I could do that. That's different. But don't be like, oh God, how come they're having it so easy in class and I'm having a hard time, or vice versa? How can you be so stupid? It's easy. Don't ever do that. I remember one time you were telling me you were helping your friend in math because she was helping you in science, and you told me I'm good at math, and I said something like, "But your grades don't show it," and you're like, "Oh, I don't care about grades," And I told you to maintain your scholarships and everything, you have to have a certain grade level. I hope you keep that up. It's up to you, but that's the only time you have that pressure, right? If you win the lottery, you don't have to worry about the scholarships anymore. You can get straight Fs. Who cares? You're paying for it, right?
Well, yeah, but still, yeah.
Could you still learn the material and get an F? Yes. You're not doing the work.
But I still know it.
Right. Right. So yeah, it just don't ever compare yourself to other people. That's the biggest thing I can tell you guys on this. Graduating from high school, you miss stuff and you learn stuff. And we're going to talk about this after we do the quote unquote the educational part of the show. I'm going to talk about AI today, and we're going to talk about that. So stay tuned for that, okay? But right now, when we talk about getting burned and everything, There's ways to prevent that. We call that our heat shields. So let's see how we can prevent getting burned. Here we go.
Here are your heat shields. The book College Essay Essentials by Ethan Sawyer, also known as the College Essay Guy, is fantastic. The main websites you'll need are the Common App, FAFSA.gov, and the College Board. You can also find plenty of graduation reflection worksheets or journal prompts online. Now back to Murphman and Connor.
All right, sorry again, AI.
That's why I hate it, but no, someone doesn't listen to me.
Hold on.
That's your fault.
In prepping for the show, what did I tell you on Monday? I'm good for Saturday, right? I was ready early this week. Obviously not. All right, so okay. Defining Decade by Meg J is a great book about making the most of your 20s. All right, is the defining decade because at 20 years old, 20 to 30 is where you graduate school or you get a job and you're starting your own life, and it's a big transition stage, right? And when you have that stage, if you plan and you save and you do everything good, everything else comes easy. If you're out there partying and doing everything and not taking care of yourself, later adult stage is going to be harder. All right. Another website you can go to is the futureme.org, which lets you write a letter that gets emailed to you in your future. Right? Why is that important? Well, make sure you pick an email that you're going to use 10 years from now. Not like Pixie Dust 22. The email that I use is the big funny guy.
Yep.
That's just one that I'll never give up. But I have other emails I've had for years, but the big funny guy is my main one. And you can also find plenty of graduation reflection worksheets and journal prompts everywhere. You just look them up. You guys can see what I'm talking about. Writing a journal is really interesting because if you actually keep a journal and you go back and read it, it's really interesting on what you see yourself as in the past. Like, for example, if you were to go ask yourself, what would my 5-year-old write, or my 10-year-old, or my 15-year-old self? Very different stories, right? So good and bad is there. And it's really neat to go back and review that. And, if you actually do like a journal in a document and have one document that's constant, you can actually like do a search for high school. You can do a search for English, or whatever subjects you're talking about. And you can read everything you've said about that. That's what's cool about it. So write a journal. It's, diary is what people call it, right? But a journal sounds more realistic and, more professional. But it was interesting, and one thing that I did, I never told you this. You were 9 years old when your mom passed, but I read all her text messages to her friends and everything because I wanted to know what she was thinking. You know what I mean? Also, if she said anything bad about me. So I literally read every message that she had. And luckily, nothing bad about me, other than, every now and then he has a bad temper. Right. But that was mostly toward Christy, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
But she never had any sad discussions with her friends in text. I'm sure she talked about it. But it's really interesting to go back and read everything she wrote, just in general. It was just an insight to your mom's mind,
Yeah.
Call it an invasion of privacy if you want, but it was something I needed to know how she handled it and if I had to worry about it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, I think she handled it okay. Sad, but still. And, but read books. I recommend Who Moved My Cheese, and there's another book that I recommend is Dr. Seuss's All the Places You'll Go. That story, in conjunction with Who Moved My Cheese, is if I could play those for you, I would. I wouldn't want a copyright strike or anything, but go looking for the video of Who My Cheese. Look for the video of All the Places You'll Go. But there's a paragraph in all the places you go that says, you'll be the winningest winner of all. But sometimes you won't, because you play games you can't win, because you play games against you. We're our own worst enemy. We're the ones that tell ourselves we can or we can't. And when you're playing against yourself, you're not going to win. You're not. You have to do your part, and you have to go out there and you have to do everything in order to make this work. Okay? Life is what I mean, And it's real interesting about that. So I'll tell you what, let's get to the final burn so we can get on with the discussion on what AI means to everybody. So here's our final burn. I'm sorry, the afterburn. Reflection question.
Here are some questions for reflection. What will I miss most about high school, and why? What am I most proud of from my high school years? What lessons or values do I want to carry forward with me into the next chapter? Let's ask Connor what he misses most about high school.
My friends, football, school itself. That's really it. I mean, just mostly friends and teachers.
Yeah, right. Okay. And we've been talking about this. And also, the next question, what am I most proud from my high school years?
Football, graduating, having friends. That's it.
Okay. Any lessons or values you want to carry forward with you to the next chapter?
Graduate, have friends.
Watch football.
Watch football. Learn football.
There's nothing wrong with looking back on your life and going, like with me. I'll never say I was a loser, but I really had no drive, no direction. The Army gave that to me. But, other than that, it's just, I look back and I ask myself, what am I most proud of from high school? Was my ROTC. And making the drill team and commanding it and doing all that stuff was my thing, But I'll tell you right now, the thing I'm most happy with is that I'm not an alcoholic anymore. How often do you see me drink a beer?
Not as much.
Okay, but the question was how often?
Not often.
What does that mean?
I only see you drinking when you, like, on Saturdays maybe, with the Bud Lights.
Every Saturday?
Some.
Okay.
As I just said.
All right. And how many beers?
2, 3 cans.
Right? Yeah. Not much compared to drinking the equivalent of 30 alcoholic drinks a day. Yeah, it's horrible. Andre the Giant, do you know who he is, a wrestler?
Mm-hmm.
He has the record of drinking 156 beers in one day.
Oh, wow.
16 gallons. Isn't that just crazy? That's a fact that I'll never forget. Yeah, but take time to reflect on your life, and let's hear the final burn for today.
The final take from today's discussion is, leaving high school isn't just an ending, it's a launch. But it's okay to miss the launchpad.
It is a launch pad, you guys. It is a launch pad. Remember that, okay? That the final burn, okay, when we talk about this, is it's okay to miss the launch pad. Just as long as you can get back on track as fast as you can. No one's perfect leaving high school, you guys. We don't all know what we're going to be doing. So just remember that, and don't let yourself get really worked up if you're not doing too well. You'll get out of it, and you will succeed. All right? All right, yeah, that's it for our educational portion today. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about AI and everything to do with that. So stay tuned.
It's time for a break. Hot Takes with the Murph Man will return after these messages.
Mrs. Jackson, they captured Hermann Goring alive.
Tell me about him.
He's the face of the Nazis. I'm gonna put Goering on trial.
Edward escapes the hangman's noose. Very sure of yourself.
No man has ever beaten me.
Goering has to fall.
You don't just have to win, you have to be flawless.
You're walking into a trap.
Knowing what we know now, would you still follow Adolf Hitler?
Nuremberg, rated PG-13, this November.
Before we jump back in, a quick reminder of where to find us. For all the short clips and highlights, make sure you're following us on social media. You can find all the show details on our website, purehottakes.com. And for full show replays and exclusive premium content you won't hear anywhere else, be sure to subscribe at stream915.com.
It's time for a break. Hot Takes with the Murph Man will return after these messages.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard, MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Quack.
Program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
The web at MB Radio.
Take a moment, take your time, let it set right. Let it drive right down in your conscious tide. Lean into the better times. 'Cause in a minute, in a moment, you'll notice a shining light. One that draws you in from deep inside. Reach out and connect tonight.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Find us on the web at nbradio.net.
All right, y'all. Welcome back. First off, I want to tell you a little bit about Military Broadcast Radio, nbradio.us. You just saw the little ad there. If you're a veteran and you're interested in being heard and you want to have a show, contact nbradio.us, and you can definitely go out there and they'll help you set up the podcast. I've talked about this before. It's one of those amazing things that we just love here. The people that run it are amazing, and I love being part of it. And one of the things I do with them is I am their animation department, their cartoon department. We have cartoons that we've made for what's it called? For Christmas, we've made cartoons for a lot of different things. And what's been interesting is as we've been working together, I've learned to use AI a lot. I mean, a lot. And it's interesting because one of the things that we did, right, was this Christmas at the VA home, because the guy wanted to do a video of helping the veterans. That's something he does during Christmas. And what's been interesting is we do these commercials. I'm trying to get one here for you so I can show you. Oh, I know why. The commercial breaks. Where are we? There we go. And one of them, I'm going to be loading up here shortly. There we go. So he wants certain messages to go out, right? And we're doing it through cartoon and animation. And that's something that I'm learning how to do. And I would say before summer, when I started all this, I had never used AI really, right? You know, I started using AI. I use Gemini. I had a website, so it comes with the website, and Workspace is what it's called. And I started using AI for everything. And like, for example, I just had my eval at the college, and my coordinator's like, you got to add more stuff to the class. You got to do this and that. So I went home and I said, here's the book. Help me find videos. And it found me 2, 3 videos for each chapter. It found me assignments about, well, not I found me, they're my assignments, but it helped me rewrite them for the new book. And all I got to do is copy and paste it into the Blackboard. And I have ungodly amounts of information. It's crazy. I even did a new grading rubric, and it's just so many different things that I was able to do, you know. And also I've been able to do videos. And what's nice about that is when you're using AI, you know, like Connor hates AI, but every video you see here, all my little clips are all AI, the voices and everything. And I don't know why I recorded the wrong voice, if that makes any sense. So I apologize for that. I have different slides and I got to remember which I'm recording because it actually is continuous. And I just forgot to click one of the clips. But the thing about AI is it's very powerful to use if you know what you're doing. But it also is making us very dependent. We're not able to think for ourselves anymore, right? That's what's happening. Students are using AI to write papers, and before you know it, they're not going to be able to think anymore. I use AI, like I've told Connor, you know, and you've heard me do this. Gemini is what I use, and I'll be in the car and I hit Gemini and I'll say, hey, Gemini, I want to do this. I want to talk about, I don't know, suicide awareness. And it says, okay. I said, here's some tips that I want. Okay. What do you think? Oh, I like those. How about we add this? Oh, that's a good thing. Add it. Okay. Now I've looked at it and you know what? Maybe let's word this a little differently. And then it would rewrite it for me. And it literally is a transcribe of our conversation. And I said, okay, now summarize it for me. And there's my assignment, you know. So it's coming from my brain. I'm just not having to write it. right? And that's what's so cool about it is you can use it and use it properly. You can do a lot of stuff with it. I create a whole course with it. You know, when I'm doing things on AI and I'm creating stuff, I try to make positive stuff out there, right? But lately, I've been seeing stuff online that is fake, like fake news. Okay, there's been AI. There's stories that come on, and I don't even know if it's a real story or not. Like the crash that happened with the UPS plane just recently. You heard about it, right? The plane's taking off, and it's engines on fire. And I saw all these different views of it. I've been following it very closely, and you can see where the engine's falling off, and then you can see where it starts turning because the engine is pushing on one side, and it goes on its side and slides, and that's how it exploded, whatever, right? Uh, but when I first saw it, I was like, "Is that it? Is that real?" And a lot of people hear something on TikTok or Instagram or Reels or Facebook or whatever, and they say, "Oh, it's got to be real." When Connor was younger, he asked me one time. He says, "Hey, Dad, is the Earth really flat?" And I said, "Shut up."
I was a little kid,
No, no,
okay?
yeah,
I
no,
was
no,
like
yeah,
5. No, not even.
no, no. You were a little older than
Fourth grade.
9,
Fourth grade.
9. You were 9.
Oh my God, I was 9.
You know how to do that? You get the grade and you add 5 years to it.
Oh, I just say whenever my mom died.
Sorry, I'm not laughing
That
at your mom died,
that
but
works.
emotional damage. But um, he asked me if the Earth was flat, and I'm like, "Don't no, shut up." You know, there's conspiracy theories and everything, and I've reported so many fake stories, right? And there's this one guy who's out there putting out veteran information, and they're all lies. The whole channel is lies. And I reported him, and TikTok keeps coming back because he hasn't violated our community standards. It's a lie. It literally is a straight up lie. Or there's misrepresentation. People are doing stories, and I don't know if you've seen the commercial for the AI that goes, "Hi, I'm such and such with news, and I am an AI generated video, but your parents think this is real." And I'm glad I'm still, you know, I know technology a little better than people my age.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, you see something and you're like, "Is that real?" And you have to go fact check now. Everything you read, you have to fact check. Don't just assume that you hear something, it's real. Okay, even if you political coverage, right? You have some stations that are right leaning, left leaning, center, whatever. But you go listen to their shows, every station in their network is seeing the exact same script, but by different reporters. Have you ever seen those clips? And that's because the news station is trying to match out. Everyone messages shop. Same source, channels, right? So yeah, and first thing one's like like they were taking us soldiers in Germany were told to go to food banks if they needed food. So the country. Well, this is sad.
Hello. Hello. I don't know. Okay. I don't know what mic I'm on. I have a mic. Ooh. So
play commercial.
Technical difficulties. We'll be right back. Should I play Final Christ at the VA or Final Christmas? Or not?
Yes, play that.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Welcome back to MBR Radio.
We've got a festive show for you.
Let's spread some Christmas cheer.
Hey, I just had an idea.
What's up, Beaker?
Don't stop pumping that iron. You have your AFPT soon.
Beaker remembered how last year they visited the VA home. It was their first year delivering baskets to the veterans who stayed at the veterans' home. Beaker, DJ Ducky and Gamer all took a gift for them as well. They really enjoyed spending time with other vets. After that, they jumped back into the car and went to the children's hospital to take donated toys to the kids.
Every time I walk into this place, I remember Germany, stuck in that hospital, no family, nowhere to go. That's why I keep coming back, to make sure nobody here feels like that.
You've carried that memory long enough, brother. Today we carry these baskets instead.
And maybe a game of Uno or two. Beaker, you're not ducking out on me this time. I'm winning today.
Fat chance gamer.
I've got winner.
After that, Ducky and Beaker played in the snow and made a large snowball and rolled it down the hill. Beaker tried racing it on his sled and did not catch up to it, but he had a lot of fun. Ah yes, they had a very good time and were looking forward to doing it again. This year, the three amigos were all excited because they were going to go back to the veterans' home and give out baskets. They had their plans, busily wrapping up the baskets and baking some gingerbread men. They rested up a bit and read 'Twas the Night Before Christmas before going to bed. Things were really coming together and they got ready to head to the home.
Hi, we are here to bring the baskets and donation we have for the vets.
Just in time, we are just getting started. Come in. Donuts and cocoa, fresh from the oven. Trust me, powdered sugar is the best kind of therapy.
I'll take that kind of medicine any day.
We know this program's not easy.
Justice Jackson, they captured Herman Goring alive.
Tell me about him.
He's the face of the Nazis. I'm gonna put Goering on trial.
Never escapes the hangman's noose. Very sure of yourself.
No man has ever beaten me.
Goering has to fall.
You don't just have to win, you have to be flawless.
You're walking into a trap.
Knowing what we know now, would you still follow Adolf Hitler?
Nuremberg, rated PG-13, now playing only in theaters.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.